To the undrafted armchair quarterbacks, we're Jim and Joe, lifelong friends, lifelong fans, bringing you fan driven sports talk the way real fans do. No overpaid experts, no scripted analysis, just honest takes on the games, players, and the big stories shaping sports right now.
That's right, Joe. And we want you all to be a part of it too. Drop your comments, questions, and takes. We'll read them all and bring them into future shows. Please hit like, subscribe, tell your friends. Join the conversation every week for free right here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen, TikTok, Instagram. And what's going on, Joe? Happy Friday. Woohoo.
I think we're there. We're almost
Yes,
there. It's Friday afternoon. So we are close.
it's been an eventful Friday too. I went outside to do some yard work and I got stinging nettle on the finger. Ah,
What? Stinging nettle?
yeah. I don't know if you've ever grabbed a stinging nettle out in your lawn or whatever. You
Well,
might
being
have,
from Miami, I think I have. I think I
you
know.
have.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they seem pretty harmless until you grab one.
Yeah. So, golfers know about it all that well. Oh, there's my ball. Ah, and
Yeah,
it stings for about 24 hours. We do have a cure for it.
you do. What is
Yeah.
it? What's the cure?
Well, save the stinging nettle because I hear you can make a pretty good herbal tea out of it.
Hmm,
Just
I didn't know
kidding.
that.
Just kidding.
I
Cold
you know what
water.
I I don't know the antidote for stinging nettle. I do know that it's not easy to play sports if you have an injury from a stinging nettle, except for one baseball player who seemed to be okay with it. His first name was Craig.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right. For the
Yeah.
Yankees, Craig Nettles
Stinging
Jr.
nettle. That should
Uh-huh.
have been his nickname, Craig
Yeah.
Stinging Nettles. Because yeah, well,
But the
I
cure
know.
is soap and some cold water, maybe some ice on it. But you don't want to go rubbing it against anything else before you go wash your hands because then you're going to spread it. It's like, not fun,
You
man.
you can spread it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's our spring landscaping tip for everybody.
Well, let me tell you something. It's a good one because baseball, is underway. Spring training, of course. Spring is. I'm looking out the window. I have a little. I don't really have like allergies per se, but I got something going on, and I think it has a lot to do with. It's now 70 degrees outside, and change of scenery. I'll take it. If a few days of the little congestion is the price to pay, I'm all for it because it was a long winter. Not that we're over it. Mother Nature always has one more trick up her sleeve. It is only February, but that's okay. I forget too. It's only like one more day in February. We're missing a few on this one.
That's for sure, man. We
Yeah.
are so glad to be out of the Winter Olympics. Were wonderful, but now it's time to just change it. Let's get to baseball. We still got a lot to talk about in today's show, other than baseball. But
Yeah.
there's
Always.
there's some interesting things happening this year. This year we've got a prospect coming up for the Pittsburgh Pirates that's being talked about over and over again, and it's Connor Griffin. Connor with a K.
Mm,
He is a 6'4", 200-pound shortstop,
wow.
19 years old, and there's talk about him being on the opening day roster at age 19. There
Mm,
are other players. Once we start talking about the other players that have been brought up, that, while they were still 19 years old,
right.
one of them's Ken Griffey Jr. back in
Yeah.
'89. There's a couple others. I think you mentioned it just before the show. Once you said it, I was like, oh man.
Well, we were talking about is he the youngest, to start on opening day as a non-pitcher. Now, I don't know if we said of any player if that would change the list. I don't think it does. But will Connor Griffin be the youngest player to be on the opening day roster and start? And we had a little discussion because in some things I've looked at, you have to go back to Ken Griffey Jr. in 1989, as you mentioned.
Right.
In other lists I've seen, you need to go back pretty far as well to Adrian Beltre. Now that's in 1999, so 10 years later than Ken Griffey Jr. But I guess the controversy is, he was 19 years and 363 days old, according to records. And I'm not suggesting this is true. We both played in little league. That's how we met. There was some question on whether that guy on the 11-year-old bantam team we were on. Remember, he had to shave, and his girlfriend picked him up in a car after practice, and she was in college. We had slight concerns about his real age. Back in the 70s, that was harder to kind of prove. Nonetheless, Adrian Beltre was supposedly 19, almost 20. And before that, man, you got to go way back. You're looking at things like, Robin Yount. Remember that name?
That's the name.
1974. He started as an 18-year-old in 74, opening day roster. Then again in 75 as a 19-year-old. So he goes into that group twice. Rusty Staub, 1963. Now he played with the
Oh
Houston
man,
Colt 45s. Remember them? Um,
yeah. And
it,
then he
it's
was a big star for the Montreal Expos, and I think towards the end of his career he went on to the Mets. I think, but
I think
yeah,
you're right.
Rusty
I can
Staub.
picture it. I can picture it. And here's the name that caught my attention. You can Google this list, I guess, because it's worth it. But at 17 years old, so one of the
Yeah.
youngest ever on an opening day roster to start, was Granny Hamner. Now, Granny is just like, yeah, Grandma, Granny, Garnny. Granny Hamner was a shortstop in 1945, filling in for some of the missing players during World War II. So he may hold the, technically legal record for 17 years. So, anyways, here's what catches my attention about this whole list. In the world of baseball, it's not uncommon to see kids getting drafted, even before they're out of high school. The NFL, you got to be 3 years out and all that. You get recruited when you're 8 or 9. You see offers, Major League Baseball offers going to 16, 17-year-olds all the time. It just struck me as I was pretty surprised that 19 years old starting on opening day in baseball is so rare.
It is rare. And this kid, like I said, we've been talking about Connor Griffin and how good he's going to be, but I love talking about all those names from the past. I did not know
Me
about
too.
Rusty Staub, Robin Yount. As soon as you said that, that's what kind of company that this Connor Griffin kid is being talked about in.
Yep.
So the main point is we're starting off with baseball. Why not? The first thing we really talk about is who's the best prospect, the number one prospect coming up this year, and it's him. He was
Yep.
last year's minor league player of the year on three levels. So that tells you he just moved right up. And again, he's a 6'4", 200-pound shortstop with power. So
Yeah.
here we go, man. I can't wait.
Yeah. And like you said, when it kind of was a coincidence, his name is very similar to somebody he's joining a you know exclusive club, a very small club with, and Ken Griffey. So
Yep.
Connor Griffin, Ken Griffey, I kind of like that. But yeah, it's unusual for a young player to start on opening day. Now, many young players have played. Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, names like that. But that wasn't on opening day, so he's definitely he's got to have the tools if they're going to put him in that situation.
That's for sure, man. And we've got World Baseball Classic coming up. I just pulled up a couple of fun facts about that because this is one of those years where, oh boy, all some of the players are getting to go play in four cities, and it's I think it's pretty fascinating, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Me too.
I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember when it started, but I know it's been going on for a while. I think the fans embrace it. I like the format. I like having, kind of a tournament pool of teams going against each other. USA this year is in Pool B, playing in Houston. Uh, Brazil, Great Britain, Italy, and Mexico are in our pool, so should be. I'm not saying that's an easy pool, but we should be favored in that pool. But
Yep, we've got the other pool play areas. If I don't know if I just heard you say, but Tokyo and San Juan, along with
yep,
Miami and Houston. You mentioned Miami and
yep.
Houston, right?
No, well,
Um,
I mentioned Houston. That's where USA starts their pool play. But yeah,
Houston.
Miami's the other city, hosting. So hey, don't say that two times fast. Houston is hosting. Hosting is Houston. Whatever. But Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know some players, not everybody who wanted to play, can play. I think there were some opt outs because of, for example, Francisco Lindor missing out due to an insurance policy. If you can't get insured, you get injured, you lose millions of dollars. So there's probably a couple of others that won't be able to participate, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. That's for sure. So yeah, the pool play is from March 5 through 11th. The tournament overall is March 5 through 17, but the pool play starts March 5 through 11, and there's obviously the four pools. The knockout rounds are March 13th and 17th, and then you've got the quarterfinals, then the semifinals, which wrap up March 15th through the 17th in Miami.
I
So
like
that'll
it.
be fun. Japan's
Yeah.
seeking their fourth title. So I think if this happens is every 2 years, every 4 years. It's kind of like the Olympics. We're going from the Winter Olympics to like a baseball Olympic setting. I think that's kind of cool. Um, every 2 years, I think the World Baseball Classic is. If
I
I'm
I
wrong,
think it's every
shoot
two
me.
years on opposite years of the Summer Olympics. Now that baseball is a sport in that, if
Gotcha.
I'm not mistaken, but yeah, it's every other year. I think this is a fifth edition, so it's been going on for 10 years, and Japan is the defending champion from 2023. So to be honest with you, I don't know if it's precisely like every 2 years per the calendar or just working around the schedules and stuff. So like I said, I'll be watching. If you're a baseball fan, it's good baseball. It's nice to
Absolutely.
see players that you don't normally get to see, not only from the USA but from other countries, and I like it.
Abs-
Baseball is definitely an international sport.
You got that right, Joseph. Yeah, I can't wait to see. Got Aaron Judge, Team USA. He's the captain. And then we're going to have Cy Young winners Tariq Skubal and Paul Skeens on the same team before the Dodgers get them.
Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah. Uh, well, did you notice my shocked face? It's so bad when you throw something like that out there, and my reaction is, oh, wait, what? I didn't even go like, what?
I expected the comedic pause there. That's why I
Yes,
said it.
yes. Did you notice my blank stare? Yes.
But here is the team. I'm getting on the bandwagon of this team right here this year, along with another team, and that's the San Diego Padres. Do you want to know why?
Well, let me ask you this: um, could it be not? These are not exclusive, one or the other. It could be both. But is it more maybe because of the beer in the dugout controversy, or
You
could it
got that
be, or
right.
could it be for a potential infection in one of their pitchers that is of interesting consequence?
It's both because one of them, he's my hero. The guy that brings beer in the dugout is Nick Castellanos.
Yes.
The other one is the pitcher. I believe it's Nick. I gotta look up his name. Hold on.
Matt Waldron.
Matt Waldron. Thank you very much. Matt Waldron is recovering from a severe ear infection.
Did you say ear infection?
Rear,
You said rear infection?
yeah,
A
severe ear
severe
infection.
rear infection?
Yes,
Wow. Hey, it sounds horrific. I hope that everything is going well. I mean, is he having surgery for that?
he did have surgery. Yeah,
Okay.
he had
Um,
severe hemorrhoids. So,
uh,
the poor guy, he didn't take
yeah,
the news sitting down either.
well, obviously, I mean, he shouldn't have probably. Um, well, listen, I hope that whole problem is in the rear view mirror because, you don't want that, lingering behind you. You want it all behind you. You don't want that, in front. So let me get this straight. So the Padres are now one of your new favorite teams because of beer in the rear.
Well, really, just the beer, and
Hmm.
then the pitcher with the rear problem. Just a little prayer for him so he can get back out there and get going with his season.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's an interesting story. There's no buts about that.
Oh,
Yeah. But
just keep the
other
puns coming.
yeah. And by the way, I on a side note, well, to be with no joking around, the Padres, they're kind of they're not a bad team to like. You know what I mean? They haven't been around for a while now. Lately, they've been playing well and kind of pushing for some recognition. They're not an easy team to dislike, if that makes sense. For if you're kind of neutral, it's easy to hate the Yankees or hate the Dodgers or hate the Red Sox, whatever. But Padres, yeah, their uniforms are kind of cool. They're laid back Southern Cal. I mean, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and they're a team that's similar to the Red Sox. The Red Sox have always taken on the hated Yankees, so
Hmm.
and now it's the Padres taking on the hated Dodgers.
Right?
Except for, of
Yeah.
course, the fact I love the Dodgers too. But
Yeah.
the Padres are a team to look out for, from their superstars to the everyday players. They can't even find room for Gavin Sheets, and this kid is a great player, great hitter. So
Yeah.
they're a loaded team. Manny Machado and company got to look out for the Padres in the West this year, no doubt about it. Their pitching
Um,
needs to hold up too.
yeah. Well, the NL West. I mean, we'll have to see if they can hang, because that's a tough one.
Yep. So we got a couple other things to talk about baseball wise. Did you see the story about Brady Feigl, spelled Feigl?
I have seen the stories. Wait, the story about Brady Feigl. It's plural, right?
Yeah. And what a
Wait,
story.
wait a minute. The story about Brady Feigl. Yes, I know exactly what story you're talking about. Matter of fact, I was going to try to help and see if I could bring up the picture, because I think that would be ideal, but I don't know if I can. So carry on.
I appreciate that. But we have to be careful on what we bring up
Is
on our show. There
Yeah,
you
wait.
go.
Is this them?
That's Brady Feigl.
Okay, so there's Brady Feigl.
Wait,
So before we get dinged again, I just want anyone who's watching to see this, because we're going to talk about it for a second. But these guys have the exact same name. They are not related in any way, not even brothers, not even cousins. Totally unrelated. They took a DNA test to prove this. So, anyways, this is a crazy story when you really think about it. So, yes, what about the Brady Feigls? Give me some more.
they're both pitchers. They're both 6'4". They look like identical twins. You even look them up online and you go into Wikipedia, give Wikipedia credit so we don't get zinged for that.
That's right.
And it actually pulls up the subject of doppelganger because
Mm,
it looks, a lot of people had to have them come on to show Inside Edition because they weren't convinced it wasn't the same guy. What a
yeah,
great
I
story,
think
man.
I think people are seeing this story like on Twitter or whatever, and I think they're just blowing by it, thinking it's AI. Um, the fact that they were both, it's like unbelievable. They were both drafted in 2018. They never met each other until recently. Um, the odds. I ran some math calculations. Thank you, Chat GPT. It was like it got into the insane numbers. Uh, this is just to have them look the same, have the same name, and all that. Not even getting into they were both drafted in 2018. We're just talking about two people with the same name who look identical but aren't related. It's like 50 million to one. And then you throw in the baseball part. They're both baseball players. I mean, what are the odds? It's unbelievable.
And pitchers.
And
And,
pitchers.
and so
Yeah,
obviously they were prompted and must have agreed to say, all right, let's go get tested. DNA testing
yeah, yeah.
came out with the results, and they both are the exact identical amount German, 53% German ancestry.
I
But
mean,
it didn't, the article didn't say what they are, the rest of them. So I guess that, but they have a relationship now. Like they just, I love how they say, hey, yeah, we're pretty much just like brothers now anyway.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there we
true.
go. See, we don't
Yeah,
bring
it's
up
really
boring stats.
that's unbelievable.
See, we don't always bring up boring stats. I love finding stories like that.
Oh, they're great. Well, they're great. And especially when it's in the world of sports, but not on the field related. There's so much. I mean, there's so many things happening. And by the way, some of it just gets overshadowed. I mean, how often does Major League Baseball change? Make major rule changes. Not very often. Not nearly as often as like NFL does, for example, or college football. But the new rule this year for Major League Baseball that's kind of gone unnoticed because of all the balls and strikes situation is coaches must now they have to stay in their boxes until the pitch is thrown, or they could get ejected. So there's a stiff penalty. I think it's already changing some base running strategies. So you got to be in the box if you're a base
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah, I think I remember in Little League, our coaches never followed that rule. They were always running out. And how many times have you seen plays where the base coach, third base, especially if a play is coming to third, hard throw, get out of the way. Tell the coach to get out of the way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, well, you ever see the picture, like when there's a man on first, when there's a runner on first, and the first base coach is standing like 1 foot off the bag, helping him look for the pick move or something, and stuff. It's like you got to move back a little. How about balls and strikes though, man? That's kind of a big change. What are you thinking about that? What are you hearing about it?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. Well, we've got the ABS coming up now. It's already started, which is automated ball strike. Technology is brought to you by T-Mobile. Each team gets two challenges to start a game.
Okay,
If it goes to extra innings, they get one challenge per inning per team. Only
okay,
the batter, the pitcher, and the catcher are allowed to challenge any given call. We're
okay,
going to have dig a little deeper into the stats because after about 5 days, I'm not sure if it's a good thing to skew how the number's going to be. I'd rather wait just a little bit until we get farther into spring. But there are indications on, there's a plus 50%, slightly over 50%. They have to change the call percentage on
okay,
it. But if you think about it, that's just slightly bigger than 50%. Strategies are popping up already. Some teams, like the Braves, and I got a quick comment about what Chris Sale, the pitcher, said. All world Chris Sale said about the Braves have already designated the duty to solely to the catcher. They don't want any hitters challenging. It's just going to be the catcher. And Chris Sale was asked, why do you want to allow the catcher to challenge balls and strikes? His response was great. He goes, that's the ump's job because I've never called balls and strikes. Plus, I'm greedy. They're all strikes.
yeah, yeah. Well, the catcher and the pitcher both think the ball was a strike or not, but I'd put it in the hands of the catcher. I think they didn't throw it, but they're a little less likely to go, come on, go. It's like an out of bounds play in college basketball. It's always like, no, no, look for the replay, look for the replay. Like, hey, meanwhile, it's like, so it is a little alarming to me that half the challenges, half, well, to be accurate, about half of the challenges are being overturned. Um, on one hand, baseball umpiring has always been a not a feel thing, but every umpire had their own nuance of a strike zone. You could hear players back in the 70s and 80s and 90s talk about it all the time. So and so, like, he'll give me that outside corner. Glavine made his living on the outside corner, and he admitted that certain umpires he could be a foot outside by the end of the game.
And
So
Maddox.
yeah, and Maddox, right? But you're taking away that not during the game, but if you want to, tap your helmet here, you're kind of taking it away because now we're just dealing with the box. What makes this different than the NFL? The NFL goes to a booth, they go to a monitor, it goes to New York, where humans make the decision. This is going to a fully robotic call if you challenge it.
And for how long now has tennis pretty much gone to that, and everything seems to be quite well, and there's no arguments? It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. How do you separate the human element? Oh, I've heard so many broadcasts. Oh, the this umpire seems to be giving them the outside corner.
Yep.
Okay, so the pitchers end up keep hitting that spot. Well, they start taking that away from them. I don't know. It's kind of weird how I'm going to react to that.
It's as a traditionalist, you know, it's it's hard to know how I'm going to handle it. But to be honest with you, I've seen so many horrific calls over the years um, that just having the box there where you can see the box as a spectator, as a fan watching, you can see the box. The box looks like it's lined up about right, depending on the height of the batter, and you can see if it's in the box or not. I think we've all learned from watching it what a bad call looks like. Even though it's against your own team that you want to win, and you see, oh, it's 2 inches on the, high and outside of the box, and it's called a strike, you kind of go, mm, thank you. But we see what bad calls look like now. And so I think eventually it'll be a great change.
I hope so, and I want to agree for sure. And we didn't get zinged for the video we brought up during the was it late in the baseball season or it was the playoffs, beginning of the playoffs? You brought up the video of the San Diego Padres getting screwed on a bad call against the Cubs at Wrigley, and I'll bet you they wish the ABS had been up in that ball game because that was
Yeah.
a blown call.
It was a blown call, and it was at a time in the game where it arguably cost the game.
That it did
So
cost the game.
yeah, I mean, listen, maybe it's generational, maybe it's not. I don't know. But in today's world of Zen stats, and when you're watching football now, they'll do a replay of the likelihood of that ball being caught. Was 91%. I mean, it's just all this, stats and all this stuff flying around in graphs, and we're just kind of getting used to it. I am at least, and I'm not going to brag about my technical skills or anything, especially like on social media. Sorry if we don't get back to you right away on your comments. That's part of the problem. But
Yeah.
I I like it. I've been watching tennis. I'm a big tennis fan. I play a lot of tennis and watching with no line people out there. And if they challenge it, it goes right up to zooms in on the line, and the shadow of the ball where it hit is an eighth of an inch off the line, and the players go like, "Oh well," because we trust technology to be more accurate than humans. That's not saying that much. Of course we do. So as long as you believe in the technology of being accurate, I think it's the right way to go. Plus, let's face it, we're always trying to trim some time off baseball games. I think the pitch clock has been a good addition. So I think this will also speed things up.
Me too. I hope that too. And also, it may stop more players from getting thrown out of the game for arguing
Hmm.
balls and strikes. They
Well,
could just tap and then be done with it. But it'll still be interesting the first time when some team doesn't have a challenge to see what happens and how that gets handled. It'll be back
yeah,
to the old days because it's fun to watch a player get thrown out for arguing balls and strikes. I'm
I
sorry.
well that was part of Americana. The
Right.
manager arguing safe at home. The manager,
Yeah.
arguing safe. We've kind of taken that away with the bang bang plays on the bases. Those are under review. Now that's still a human having to do that. Like football, they're having to look at it and see. I think that's helped the game, though. Listen, in a game of inches, I didn't make that up. I didn't call it that. Abner Doubleday did, or somebody,
Yeah.
but it's a game of inches. Well, in a game of inches, and you've got 72-year-old umpires out there, no offense, I'm almost there,
We're getting
but
there.
but in a game of inches, what better sport to make sense of having a precision way of measuring those inches, if that makes sense, because I'm all for
Sure.
it. Yeah, I'm
Sure.
all for it. Just like football. The first down markers. How many times you see the guys lug out the change this year? Every player has to step over the chain as it's going through the huddle, and the old guy pulled the chains like, "Oh, sorry," ripping it, and it all comes down to the spot, anyways. That's where they're going it from, and this year they used the GPS for first downs. All I noticed was there wasn't a 5 minute break bringing the chains out, so I'm all for it.
Yeah. You talk about Americana, made me immediately picture Earl Weaver was
No,
seemed to be the most animated. He'd take his cap off and dust the home plate and show the
Billy
umpire.
Martin,
He would
Earl
show the
Weaver.
umpire exactly. He was so great. And
I
then
know.
I just that also reminded me of rest in peace. One of the best umpires through many decades just passed away. Bruce Fremming. Bruce Fremming. I'm sure you've heard that name, and he was
Um, I
decades.
remember Bruce.
30.
I may be wrong, but that's when I first started questioning how much per diem umpires got, because Bruce did not miss a meal on the road. I can tell you that.
Yeah. And he didn't miss many calls. Or if he did, Earl Weaver let him know about it. So,
Yeah. No. Let me tell you. It's like I said, on the surface, I think it's a good thing to you know take some of the human mistakes out of it, and maybe this is a good mix. Every ball and strike's not called by an algorithm. Um, but if there is a questionable call, like what happened to San Diego, you can take a look at it. You only get two a game. You keep it if you're right. So it looks like about half the time you get to keep one. So you might need to, use them wisely. Maybe wait till the later innings, or a key situation. So maybe that's the best way to do it right now as we ease into it. Because just based on what you were saying, and what we were talking about, I don't know if I'm ready to just take people off, to take umpires out of the baseball.
no.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Because don't forget, there's still going to be calls at the plate, and
Yeah,
you've got to have that umpire behind the plate.
right.
You know, those kind of bang bang plays. And I
Yeah,
love the fact what you just said too. We don't want to be encumbered by our past. I love how baseball's easing this in.
yeah.
And as long as it's fast, and I've
Hmm.
already seen a couple of highlights where the umpire walks right behind home plate where they have that little StatCast gun or whatever they call it, and it looks like it's fairly quick. But already after 6 days of baseball, I believe I read where there was already 300 something challenges.
Yeah,
That's a lot. It better not take more than a minute or two. But
yeah.
I guess baseball could sell more hot dogs if that's the case.
Well, I mean, I'm not a math major, but on a full slated night of baseball, how many games can you have going on? 16, I guess.
Yeah.
If both teams get two, that's four. That's four per game. That's if you don't win them all, so you don't keep any. So that's four times 16 games. We're at 64 right there, one night. And throw in, a handful more that you won. So now you got another 16 ish. There's, 70, 80 helmet taps per game. Per night. So yeah, I mean, it could get ugly. But hey, listen, I could talk baseball all day. Unfortunately, we don't have all day.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot more to talk about. There's other things going on. Baseball, the baseball edition today was, I love it. Talk baseball anytime. I don't have my Oakland A's helmet up yet. This is going to all be done this weekend. So thanks for your patience there.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a lot going on in college football right now with some NCAA rule changes and stuff. There's also things going on. Golf is underway. Well, to be honest with you, this is really sad. But looking at the leaderboard is probably not that sad. But the Cognizant Classic is happening. We can mention that. So how about on the next podcast we pick up where we left off and talk about those things?
Oh, that sounds good to me, Joe. Plus, it's Friday, isn't it? Leaning on happy hour right about now.
It's close, man. It is close. So we got to get going. Otherwise, we're going to make people unhappy that they can't start their hour. Thanks for your comments, your subscribes, and your likes. We really appreciate it. So that's it for the episode. That's it for this episode of the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks with Jim and Joe. Thanks for checking us out and hanging with us for some real fan-driven sports talk.
Right on, Joe. Folks, drop your comments. We'll bring them into future shows. Thank you for joining us again right here. Join us every week for free on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you. Thank you,
See you, my
Joe.
friend. Take care, man. Talk to you soon.